Hello, I'm your host, Andreana Jackson. I'm a realtor with over a decade of experience in the Miami real estate market. My office is currently in Miami Beach, and today we have a great show for you. The theme is from burnout to stillness. Well, from burnout to balance and finding stillness. I have healthcare professional here, holistic practitioner here, Lauren K. Alexander with Embodied Moments. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Awesome. Lauren, tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a yoga instructor and an intuitive sound healer. I have 20 years of self-practice in yoga, and I've been teaching actually now for about 2 years. Before that was in the world of luxury hospitality. I spent 20 years in hospitality with a great career, doing events, event planning, production, large scale, small scale, corporate, anything and everything, you name it, I was doing it. And then I kind of worked my way up the ladder. I was actually the director of events at the Key Biscayne Yacht Club. And I finally got that director position, that title that everybody kind of like chases after, building yourself, getting that, climbing that ladder, right? And I got there and I was just unfulfilled. I was burnt out. I was exhausted. I was anxious. I was depressed. I was just not happy and fulfilled with where I had gone. And kind of in that moment, I realized that I needed to make a change. I needed to make a true change for myself and really stop and take a look at myself and what I had been doing, what was working, what wasn't working for me anymore, and kind of how I really never thought about going to where I was. I just kind of ended up there. And so also on a whim, for the first time ever, I'd been working since I was 15. I quit my job without a backup. I was like, I can't do this.
So it was toxic.
Yeah, it was. And it wasn't necessarily any specific place or people that were toxic. It just was not aligned with what I saw for myself. I wasn't happy. I wasn't excited to get up and go to work. I wasn't excited to, go and do events anymore. And I had been doing it, and I'd kind of gone from one location to another after COVID. Prior to that, I worked for the same company for 7 years, and they were amazing and wonderful. But once I realized that I wasn't feeling anything from it or really getting much out of it or feeling like I was fulfilling a purpose in life, I was like, I can't do this. And it was more a personal journey of wellness that I needed to go on for myself. So I quit my job and I started just doing all of the healing work that I had been avoiding basically my whole life. So I went and started going to therapy once a week. I stopped drinking. Not that it was ever like a huge issue for me, but in the industry you're drinking, I was drinking a lot more than now. I only have a glass of wine here and there.
Right.
I stopped drinking. I started waking up in the morning, going and getting sun. I was doing breath work, meditation, reading self-help books. I was doing workshops. I was listening to podcasts. I was literally doing anything and everything to change the way that I was feeling.
You were reprogramming yourself.
Yeah, kind of without really knowing it. And so at the end of like this 2-3 weeks of just kind of conquering my first and last thought of the day and doing the meditation and doing the breath work, one day I woke up and I was completely different. My depression was gone. My anxiety was gone. What we call monkey brain or our mental chatter was gone. I felt this shift in myself, so much so that people around me, the building that I lived in, I would walk past people that I had known for years and they would walk right past me and they didn't even recognize me because I had shifted so much energetically. They'd be like, hey, how are you? Nothing physically about me had changed. I didn't like change my hair or lose a ton of weight. Like I looked exactly the same. It was only like a 2-3 week period. And people were like, oh, I didn't even recognize you. And from that change, I knew that I wanted to figure out why and kind of like go more into why and how that change was able to take place because we think about it, we talk about it. There's all of these things in this world, especially in Miami. Wellness is such a huge industry.
I believe it's between $200 to $400 million industry down in South Florida.
Yeah. And I know that in the next like 5 years or so, the wellness like travel industry is supposed to reach trillions of dollars. It's something that people more so now than ever are focused on because I know if I was feeling that way, right? Unfulfilled, happy, not, went down this career, was just not being fulfilled, but knew that it wasn't right. Like I knew that I had so much to be thankful for. I knew that I had like all these wonderful things going for me. I was young, I'm fit, I'm attractive, like I'm well educated, you know, I have all these things, but I'm still like unhappy. Like, well, this can't be right. Like, and if I'm feeling this way, how is everyone else feeling?
Right.
And so when I started to kind of look into why I was able to shift myself, everything kind of just kept leading me back to yoga. And I had been practicing yoga since I was a teenager. I actually had a doctor, thankfully, a doctor suggested it for back pain. I had back pain as a teenager and I was really into sports. And instead of suggesting therapy or medication or whatever it was, he was like, go to yoga, stretch and see how you feel. So yoga had constantly been a part of my life, but it wasn't something, it was more the physical aspects. It wasn't something I had dedicated myself to. It was more just complementary to like strength training, running, you know, all the things.
Right.
And so once I was like, okay, yoga is like the root of what kind of made this change for me, I decided to book a trip to India to go to Rishikesh, the birthplace of India. I had booked this trip on Saturday. I left on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, talk about me just going on a whim for all of this. I was like, I needed more. I needed to know why. I needed to figure out how. And that just seemed like the right place.
Where did you stay?
So I stayed, it's called Yoga Kalam. It was the school that I went to. So I did my yoga training there to become a certified yoga instructor. And it was a 30-day intensive program where you stay basically, it's like an ashram, shala style program where you go and you're there from, for the 6 days a week, you're doing classes from, our first class was 6 a.m. and then our last class, I think, ended at like 8 p.m. And you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. Of course, you can leave and walk around a little.
What was the food like?
It was Indian food. So it was curry in the morning, curry in the evening, curry at night. It was curry. And like the first week, at the end of the week, I was like, oh my God, if I have curry one more time. Like, and then after that, I was like, I loved it. I looked forward to the food. It was all vegetarian. So the city of Rishikesh itself is one of their most holy cities. It's on the Ganges River, which is their holy river. So within a specific radius of the river, there's no meat products because it's based in yoga, and yoga has one of the yamas. So there's different parts of yoga, which we can get into. I can talk about forever, but part of that is nonviolence. So very similar to like religious scriptures where there are these right ways of living. Nonviolence is one of them. So literally taking that, they don't cause harm to animals. So that's why so many yogis are vegan or are vegetarian at least. So in that specific city, the most you could probably find is like egg and maybe cheese, but you're never going to find like an animal protein on the menu in any of the restaurants or anywhere that
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was a full vegetarian diet, obviously completely sober for those 30 days because you can't really, they don't serve alcohol either. Like you might be able to find like a little rooftop bar that they serve like warm beer that they've got like a certain amount in a day, and it's like, that's it. When they run out, they run out.
Rations.
Yeah, exactly. So it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. It was super intensive, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I trained for Ashtanga and Hatha. So we were doing around 3 hours of just a physical practice daily on top of meditation, philosophy, and then going into anatomy, adjustment, alignment, self-study and practice, and then having the tests, obviously, that you go through. So then when I was there, I had gotten introduced to sound healing. So that's actually where I had previously done one class here in Miami where it was like an event that somebody had done sound healing, but it was meditation and dance, and she did a sound healing, and I liked it, but I wasn't like over the moon about it.
There's a lot going on. I noticed when they advertise these things, it's a lot going on just besides the sound bath.
Right. It's more coming from an events background. It's like what we call an activation. It's like something fun that people can kind of go into or go out of. I know there's a lot of different ways that people practice here in Miami. So lots of great events. But
you're going to tell us about the traditional way to do this.
Yes.
The importance of the sound.
Exactly.
Tell me about that.
So when I was in India, I had a number of people just kind of ask me, so while you're here, you're going to do a sound healing? Not like asking, but more telling. And I was like, no, I had no intention whatsoever. I actually left India, traveled through Asia, and felt the call to go back to India and actually do the sound healing training. Through the school, I found Shaman Banu, who was the trainer through the Himalayan Sound Academy.
Okay.
And so that was a week-long program where you do somewhat similar to, it's an intensive program where you're there all day for the 5 days out of the week. And then you do intense training. So when you're thinking about sound healing, for me specifically, it's really important to make sure that I'm staying grounded and rooted because in the ancient techniques themselves that were taught to me, because this is an ancient technique that has been handed down from predominantly brown bodies throughout history, and it's not something new. I did not come up with sound healing. I'm not making anything new. You know, I'm not like reinventing the wheel. No, I'm not. I didn't discover it. I'm like, I discovered these bowls in India. No, I did not.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. These have been around for 5,000 years. And this has been, you know, and what I like to tell people is science is now catching up with what these ancient civilizations have known all along. It's the power of sound healing and using sound as a way to guide you through therapies, essentially, which sound therapy is a tool that a lot of people use. So it's very similar to like music therapy.
Right.
And there are different subsets of that. So these bowls that I use, I have metal Himalayan bowls, which also vibrate and emanate sound, which are actually classified as a bell. So they're an musical instrument, an inverted bell. So when you think of a bell and like you go to a desk at like a hotel and you ding the top, it's essentially that, but it's inverted and you strike it or play around the rim and it emits a different sound.
Okay.
So there's nothing, you know, I'm debunking like, you know, the mysticism behind it. It's really, it's a musical instrument. And in the training, when we started the training, it's music theory that you start with. Okay. So you learn about the musical notes, you learn about the different octaves, you're learning about the resonance of sound and how that plays back to us internally.
And what does it do for us?
So these specific bowls themselves, they create something what we know as a binaural effect, which is what a lot of people listen to if they're trying to study. They hear binaural beats. And so it's that sound where when you have headphones on, it sounds like it's going from one ear to the other. And that's, I tell people it almost feels like it's flossing your brain. Yes. And so the bowls emanate this it's not exactly the same as binaural beats, but they're similar to binaural beats. And then what happens, it's actually activating the alpha and the theta brain waves, which are activated during meditation. So,
and then what does that do when you activate those waves?
So when you activate those waves, it's just putting your brain wave on a different state, and it's also helping you relax. It's helping you calm down. It's signaling to the body and the mind, like it's time that we can relax and let go, and the things that you're holding on to, it can help reduce the mental chatter that's going on. And for me, the way that I really like to utilize them as a form of meditation, because meditation is anytime you're focused on one thing for an extended period of time, which a lot of people know like breath work to be meditation. You can have, there's so many different types of meditation. So you could be cycling, that's a meditation, running, meditation, yoga is when you're deep into a physical practice is a moving meditation, walking, laughter meditation. There's so many different types of meditation. But I specifically love the bowls for that purpose because they help constantly bring you back, because a lot of times people struggle with meditation because our minds are just wandering, right? It's a thinking about what I need to do later, what I didn't do before. You know, it's very easy for our minds to just like start.
It never turns off.
Yeah, it never turns off. So the bowls really help you, the sound, to kind of keep coming back to it. So it's not how many times or how long you can stay meditating. It's like how many times can I come back to the sound? And the sound really helps you ground in that. And so I have a few different ancient technique practices that I learned from Shaman Banu, which are ancient practices that have been handed down. I stick specifically with those. Okay. Just again, they're ancient practices, and so I try to honor that tradition and not really stem from that. And so there are a few alchemy of sound, which is a type of meditation, and then we have chakra balancing, sound therapy, which is something that's more intense. And then you can also have sound sound baths.
So what's the difference between a sound bath and sound therapy?
Yes. So I love to touch on this because it's so common to see sound baths and in a space of like events or the things that you see online or in and around Miami. And a sound bath is what you think about is when you're being bathed in sound. So it's not just the bowls themselves, which sound therapy generally with the bowls, which I do, is going to be just the bowls.
Okay.
Through a sound bath, you'll have the sound of the bowls. They'll use crystal, metal bowls. They'll have chimes. They'll have rain sticks, rain drums, hand pans, gongs. And it's kind of like an immersion of these different sounds, kind of on and off. And it's pulling you from one to the other to one to the other. What I'm doing while I can perform sound baths, and I do sometimes integrate that into my practice, I generally focus on more of the sound therapy, more of the sound healing specifically, which then I either start with an alchemy of sound, which is a meditation, which is just to kind of ease you in because it's intense to just have, a 45-minute to an hour of the bowls themselves, especially if it's new to you. So a meditation is a little bit more easeful. On the body, mentally, emotionally. And then the chakra balancing is a specific technique, which I really love and that I utilize a lot now, actually. Since I've been back, I started practicing more on friends because it was never something that I had this huge intention to go and come back and be like, I'm a sound healer now, or like, I'm a yoga instructor now. I went originally, like I said, to kind of figure out why it helped me. And then once I realized and I started doing the sound healing training, like the first day, I was hooked. I was like, this is it. This is it for me. I need to share this with people. I need to like go out and do this in the world.
So what are some of the outcomes? What can one expect from the outcomes of being in a sound therapy session?
So deep relaxation, and everybody experiences a little bit different. And anytime I have somebody who's coming to me for a sound healing, we sit down. I usually give 2 hours because I do like to be really cognizant and mindful of the individual when they're doing this. Again, I want to take it very seriously because it is a form of therapy for people, and I want to be understanding. So I actually have an intake form where we go through and we talk about their issues, things that they're feeling, or if they have anxiety, depression, all of these things. And the bowls themselves that I have actually relate back to different chakras. So our chakras are, when you think about our physical anatomy, we have also in the spiritual world, we have a spiritual anatomy. And that's kind of the way that I like to relate it back to, if you're not familiar with the chakras, they're energy points on the body.
Right.
And so mostly we're familiar with our 7-point chakras, which start at the root. They go up to the sacral, the solar, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And those are like the most commonly known.
Right.
And then each of those chakra points have different emotions and also different physical ailments that relate back to them.
Okay.
So when I'm doing the chakra balancing therapies, we sit down and I actually have a little chart that I keep notes on sitting next to me while I'm performing.
I love this.
Yeah. So, and well, yeah, we'll have to go through it, but, and I know I want to give you one because we haven't done it yet, but that's I digress. We'll go back into it. So I let them know, there's different, you're laying down. The bowls are placed around you. I'll be moving and also be still. So you'll feel me moving around. You'll hear me moving around. You'll hear the sound of the bowls. Sometimes you won't really hear anything, and silence is also a part of the practice. And then throughout the practice, I'll have, which I realized as I started practicing, that I start to get like little mini downloads or thoughts in my mind that I started taking notes of that then at the end we go over. There's also, interestingly, the body starts to move. Sometimes it'll be like a physical sigh, like a deep sigh with specific bowls. Sometimes it's a twitch or a hand movement. Sometimes people say they feel heaviness and tingling, somebody holding their hand. So people can range from really deep spiritual experiences, like having ancestors visit them and come and talk to them, to falling asleep. Right. And which falling asleep is totally normal. It's just relaxing.
So do some people, because you kind of just touched on it, do some people are apprehensive because they feel like it's a little witchy or?
Definitely. I think I've gotten that from people. in the past. And I think that just having these open conversations with them about, it's an instrument.
Because there's science behind it.
There is science behind it. Yeah. So the vibrations actually help us physically on a cellular level. It's called what's sympathetic resonance, where then the cells vibrate at the vibration of the bowl. So it's like if you...
So it's resetting your energy.
Yeah, essentially. It's just kind of balancing everything out for you. It's meant to be relaxing. And what your intention is going into it is what you're going to get out of it. I'm not doing anything strange, and I'm saying somebody has a spiritual experience. She's extremely spiritual. She's very embodied in that sense. Someone who is just like, I have friends that aren't really super spiritual and they love the sound healing because it's just a way for them to relax and get out of their mind. That they've got these constant racing thoughts. They've got tons of anxiety and they would never be like, oh, I'm a spiritual person. But they absolutely cannot get enough of these sound healings because it's just a really beautiful way for them to get out of their heads and focus on the sound and focus on the vibration. It also helps you get really great sleep. That's one of the side effects I get.
I go to sleep to the green waves at night, and then I wake up to another sound on the bowls.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful way to go to sleep, to wake up, to even just kind of just relax and like have a sigh, get out of our minds, get out of our bodies and relax. And so as far as the chakra balancing goes, which is I really was surprised by it. Me not having been a super spiritual person previously in my life, at a young age, I had a lot of spiritual experiences. But then as I got older, I moved away from it. And it wasn't really something that I sat with or sat in until my trip to India. And then I was kind of like faced with, hey, this is what's happening. And you're having these are spiritual experiences. And then I kind of took my guard down to it and didn't feel like it was so witchy or woo-woo or, because people see them and be like, she's a witch. Like, I'm not a witch. I don't know. I'm just a girl.
I'm not casting spells.
No. I'm not doing anything weird. I'm following ancient techniques. I'm here to help you relax, help you meditate, help you find some balance, like we said. And then also to help with energy blocks. So like how the chakras relate back to our body and different points. I can then tell you from the notes I've taken, say, okay, well, I can also sense it now. I've noticed that I'll get physical sensations on my body if something's blocked or there's an energy block or there's something going on. For women, most commonly is our throat chakras are blocked, which can be also ancestral. When you think about how women throughout history have really been silenced, our voices, it's actually something that comes up really commonly for women is to have some sort of blockage in our throat, and it'll like get tight on me. I've also had a client where her heart, I felt like when I was doing the heart chakra bowl, like my heart felt like it was going to like explode out of my chest. Like it was, which seems beautiful and loving, but to me signals an imbalance. Like we don't want these extremes. So for me, it was more like you're people pleasing, like, and you shouldn't really be.
And it's stressing her out to do it.
Yeah. And maybe she doesn't realize it now, but like, she's like, well, isn't it a good thing? And I'm like, well, again, we want to find the balance. We don't want to be too open or too closed off. So it's just something then for you to be mindful of. It's not like I'm going to fix you or I can like give you, like you said, a spell and it fix it for you. That's not what I do. No. I'm just kind of guiding you and showing you like, hey, this bowl, every time I hit it, you took a deep sigh. And what relates back to that is your throat and speaking. And maybe you're not speaking your truth or you're not, and then we sit down at the end. I asked them to give me, I have my notes so they don't feel like they're being guided and I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm just, like the tarot cards, like, oh, she's just, anybody could do it, and then, I asked them about their experiences. Sometimes people see colors, which then coordinate back to the chakras because each chakra has a color.
So then after you're mostly just on the chart, you're just telling them what you came up with, you saw.
Yeah.
And so then they take that back with them and they're kind of like processing that.
Yeah. And they can, there are different things that then we can go off of. So generally it'll be like 3 or 4 bowls that keep coming up. And then we can go into, then we look at the chart together, which I actually have a chart that kind of shows like, these are the emotions, these are the physical ailments. Like I have a client where we've done it and her solar plexus bowl, like her arm starts flailing, and we were trying to figure out why. And this was in the beginning when I first started, and she actually has ulcerative colitis, and ulcers relate back to your solar plexus. So it's the body's kind of like telling you and resetting the things that are going on basically while you're doing it in real time, which is super interesting. But then emotionally, it can also give you a guidance as far as like then taking it back to yoga. Certain physical yoga asanas or postures relate back to different chakras also. So you could maybe schedule either with me or find one online and do a yoga class that is for heart opening or for your solar plexus or just specific chakras.
So before we get into the sound, tell us a little bit more about your yoga.
Yes. So I'm a Hatha yoga practitioner. I teach yoga. I have mostly private clients. I also do teach classes at a studio in Coconut Grove called Synchronize, the studio. We are in the process of fully opening right now. I'm doing a couple of deep restorative stretches a week. And then once we get going, I'll be doing more physical practice, but also sound healing and meditation.
Okay.
And the yoga is great for everything. I'm physical body, mental body. I always incorporate breath work and meditation because that's actually part of yoga. We hear so much about breath work and meditation these days. And it's, again, like I said, these are ancient practices, ancient techniques that I did not come up with. I like to stay rooted and founded in the tradition of that. And so it's important for me that when I'm talking about physical yoga, it's not just an aesthetic workout. I'm not a fitness instructor. We're talking about yoga, we're talking about the sutras, we're talking about breath work, meditation, and they're non-negotiables for me when I'm taking on clients. So my clients, even if it may not be the main focal point, the breath work and the meditation, it is incorporated into the practice. Yeah.
And how can they get a hold of you?
Yes. So you can find me on my website. It's www.laurenkalexander.com. I'm Lauren at laurenkalexander.com for email. You can also find me at Embodied Moments on Instagram. And then my personal account is my name backwards. So Alexander K. Lauren on Instagram. So
awesome. So right now you're going to give us a little taste of the sound bath.
Absolutely.
So if we can get down here?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We can get on the floor.
All right. Tell me where you want me.
Wherever, if you want to sit, just in your chair. I'll slide to the side here. We've got lots of bowls, lots of instruments. Take my shoes off. I hear you. I'm always on the floor with my shoes off somewhere. So we can see, right? Yeah, we can see. So these are the crystal bowls and the metal bowls. This is a koshi chime. Okay. So one of the other instruments for sound healing. And then this is what's called a tingsha, which is a chime. These cute little...
And all these came from India?
Yes. These actually, I'm borrowing from a neighbor, a friend. We've been sharing custody of them. So thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
But the metal bowls are the bowls that I brought back from India that I purchased through my shaman, and he works with a store there. These are a full set of each chakras, but you'll notice I have 8. I have 2 crown chakras, and that was just because for a musical note, we did alternate octave to finish out a full octave.
Okay.
And so we'll just do a little bit so you can hear it. We'll just run through the sound. Okay. So you can hear the difference, and you'll also feel the vibration. These vibrate, which I really love. You can feel them physically on the body. It also helps connect the mind and then that sympathetic resonance like we talked about. So this one is our root chakra. It's going to be the deepest note. Our solar. There's specific balance for specific bones.
I love this.
that's our, this was our third eye. That one's crown. And this is
Okay.
crown. Red and backwards. They're very similar in sounds.
But it's
And
nice
so-
that you know that.
Oh, it's my job. I better know it. So then these are played in different techniques for different time frames for different practices. So I have a book that I follow that have the techniques that were taught to me. So you can play them by either striking them, and then I would count. So a lot of what I do is counting in my mind, like counting to 30 and then 20 and then 10.
For the next bowl.
Before you play the next bowl. Sometimes you play all of them at once. It just depends on where you are. And then you can also play them by playing the rim, which emits a little bit different of a sound.
Oh, that's cool. I can see the vibration.
Yeah, you can even if you put your hand close to it,
You can feel the energy, folks.
you can feel it. I didn't make it up.
Like I feel it, like the
Yeah.
static energy.
You can even use it as a massage. So I can also play these on the physical body.
Wow.
This one is super woo-woo, but sometimes I'll put it on you can put it on your head. I'm gonna do it. I have to do it. So you put it on your head and
Okay.
you hold it from the top and then you take the mallet. I know, it looks so silly.
I love that you did this.
But I make people do it and they're like,
Okay.
oh, this is really good.
And so, what is it doing? Like when you do
It's
that
just
one?
vibrating. Do you want to try it?
I'll do it.
Do it. So I'm going to have you do it yourself. Just 'cause
Okay.
I don't want to, you'll place it so that then it's not hitting any part of your head.
It's not hitting my. Okay.
And then you'll just use a finger, an index finger to hold the top.
Okay.
Just put it just a little bit forward. And then I'll strike it just gently.
Okay. It does feel soothing.
This is like the silliest thing that you do with the bowls.
I feel like Johnny Carson when he used to do those things. I love it.
Those crystal bowls, we wouldn't really do that with. The metal bowls, that's why they're so fun and versatile and they stack. The crystal bowls are actually really delicate and are super easy to break.
Okay.
They can also be played by striking. Yeah, these are more common generally because in what I've come to understand is so that the metal bowls are actually on the classical Indian scale of music. So they're slightly different tones than what we're used to in our musical instruments. These are generally more aligned with what we're used to hearing.
Okay.
So they're
Western.
in the Western world. So they're more like for tone, they're more appeasing to what we know. So it's probably why. And they also generally carry the sound a little bit further.
Okay.
And so they're better for big groups. They're better for outside. Large groups. And then we play these in very and then for a practitioner, you just kind of would play. You can play them all at the same time.
So I do feel really relaxed. And of course I do this every morning, so I love it. And I thank you for coming to share this with us.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you had me here. I will talk about it anywhere, anyhow, any way I can.
So for everybody who's starting their journey, this is a good way to come and to decompress. Get a hold of Lauren K. Alexander. Again, she gave us all her information, laurenkalexander.com.
Yes.
Okay, and thank you. Keep up with your journey. Namaste.
Yeah, namaste. Thank you so much.
Thank you.